Welcome back to Miss Eddie's Math Movies, where it's a cute to be a square. Today's lesson is 6.5, Trapezoids. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to use properties of trapezoids. There's a few things we need to know before we get right in. We need to talk about this vocabulary for a trapezoid. So a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with one pair of parallel sides. We're going to draw a picture for all of these words, and it's going to be one picture to go with the whole thing. So what I want you to do is draw a nice big trapezoid. So there's our parallel sides. Let's see, these are the parallel sides. They're arrows. Notice that these two are definitely not parallel sides, so we only have one pair. The bases are the parallel sides. So I want you to write base and base. The legs are the non-parallel sides. So this is a leg and this is a leg. The base angles are a pair. They have to be a pair of angles on the same base. So this angle and that angle together are base angles. They're always a pair. They always come in twos. So these up here are also base angles. They come as a pair. Base angles. Now in isosceles, we've heard this word before. We have two sides the same. So an isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid with congruent legs. So let me show you what that looks like. So you've got your bases that are parallel, and this leg is equal to this leg. Notice here I used arrows, and here I used tick marks. And the mid-segment of a trapezoid is a segment that connects the midpoints of the legs All right, so let's, on our picture, we got to find the middle of this leg. So find the middle, mark it that you found the middle. Find the middle over here, mark it, and then connect. That segment right there is called the mid segment. Mid segment. So hopefully you could fit all of that in your picture. Theorems about isosceles trapezoids. I think this, yes, if a trapezoid is isosceles, then each pair of base angles is congruent. Now please make a note, this is only for isosceles trapezoids. And this is a lot like when we had triangles. If you remember, in an isosceles triangle, the base angles were equal. So same thing here. Notice these two base angles are equal, and these two base angles are equal. A is equal to B, and C is equal to D. And then the opposite, or the converse, is also true. If a trapezoid has a pair of congruent base angles, then you know it's isosceles. So if you see this, you know the legs are equal. All right, on the follow-up, you're going to compare isosceles triangles to isosceles trapezoids. So let's draw one of each for you. So here's an isosceles triangle. Here is an isosceles trapezoid. Right, and these are parallel. So I want you're going to compare these two. Are the legs congruent for both of them or neither of them? Both or neither, both or neither, both or neither. Do this now. Finding measures of trapezoids. Of angles. Okay. So, well, what we learned, this is an isosceles trapezoid. So we learned an isosceles trapezoid. Let's have you write this to the side to remember. Base angles are congruent. All right, so you look for the angles on the base. Well, S is on the base with R. See how they're both on this parallel line? So R is 50. Now, I like to call the other angles leg angles. All right, because see, they're on the leg that's congruent. And the leg angles have to equal 180, because that's how we get these parallel lines, right? These are same side interior. They have to make 180. So this is an isosceles trapezoid. You need to know this. In an isosceles trapezoid, base angles are equal, leg angles equal 180. All right, so these two are a leg angle. So we already have 50 degrees, which means we must need 130 more. Same thing here, we've got 50, this must be 130 more. Now this is a lot different than a parallelogram. A parallelogram has opposite angles equal, but not here, because this is a trapezoid. All right, we said R and S are base angles, so R is equal to S, so they're both 50. We talked about that the leg angles are supplementary. They have to make 180. We wrote that right here. So P is equal to 180 minus 50. That's how we got 130. And then these two are on the base together. So Q is equal to P, and they're both 130. All right. It says down here in the checkpoint that all of these trapezoids are isosceles. Okay? So we could put tick marks in here. The legs are equal. The legs are equal. The legs are equal. So you need to find all of the missing angles, all three angles that are missing, and use this. Use what we learned there. Base angles are equal. Leg angles equal 180. Do this now. This is just like example 1. Now we have to find the mid-segment. The mid-segment is right in the middle. So its length is right in the middle of these two. And that's called the average. It is the average of the bases. All right, so if you want to think about it, you do base plus base and divide by 2. All right, that's what this says right here. That's how you find the average. Base plus base divided by 2. All right, so down here we're going to do an example. We're trying to find the length of DG, the mid segment. See how it's right in the middle, the middle, and the middle? We need to average these two together. So we're going to do 8 plus 20 divided by 2. Now, a lot of you can do this in your head, but if you can't and you want to put it in your calculator, make sure you put this in parentheses. All right, for those of us who can do it in our head, it's 8 plus 20 is 28, and half of 28 is 14. 28 divided by 2 is 14. So the mid-segment is 14. That makes sense. 14 is right in the middle of 8 and 20, right? This is 6 away, and this is 6 away. It's right in the middle. In the space at the right, draw a trapezoid TPZD with mid-segment MS. All right, so let's draw a trapezoid. TPZD. And draw a mid-segment MS. All right, that looks good. Mark all parallel sides. All three of these are parallel. and mark all congruent segments. Well, M cut this in half, and S cut this in half. So there we go. All right, find the length of the midsegment. This is just like example 2. To find this, remember you do base plus base, okay, put that in parentheses, divided by 2. Go ahead and do this now. This is M cubed signing out.